RETROSAURUS with Oli and Kev. Well, welcome to RETROSAURUS with
me, Oli,
and me, Kev. And this is the podcast that talks about what is pop culture and what is flop culture. And tonight we're going to be talking about Batman the movie. Holy RETROSAURUS Batman. Isn't that right, Oli?
That is the one and truly only Batman movie. Forget all the others. This is the original one, 1966.
What was strange, though, is the intro was not the standard TV show intro. It was very, very different, wasn't it, from the show? Because the show started with na 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 Batman.
Yeah, and it was they seemed to have like someone in a trench coat running at the start. I was a bit confused by that, but then you saw Batman kind of like in the spotlight, then Robin, and then you had kind of all those things kind of going on. It was like, oh, okay.
Holy peep show Batman.
It was a bit like a peep show, definitely.
There's certainly lots of kitsch moments. Lots of cringeable moments, but for some reason they were able to transform it all into something truly brilliant and iconic. So
I would say it's difficult, but we will try to make sarcastic comments about this film because they clearly knew what they were doing themselves. They were clearly having a laugh.
So like this, basically the movie came out in 1966, straight after the TV show had ended, basically, and reprised all of the classic villains. The Riddler, the Joker, the Penguin, Catwoman. So the Riddler, played by Frank Gorshin, who was a stand-up comedian at the time. Burgess Meredith, who's also the coach in Rocky with Sylvester Stallone. Cesar Romero, who was some sort of mustached
Latin lover
from the time. And Catwoman, who had many incarnations, not 9 of them, but there were, I think, 3 altogether. Eartha Kitt was one of them, and Julie Newmar was another one. But in this movie, they got an actress called Lee Merriweather to do the part of Catwoman, and she did rather a good job, I thought.
And she was perfect.
Well, anyway, what can we say about it? It's camp, it's groovy, it's got men in tights with their bulges on show for everyone to see. It's got villains that look like they all came out of a Christopher Street parade. Quite frankly, I think it's got everything you could possibly want.
They get called an emergency call, so they rush back. They go down the poles, and they have a lovely switch that changes them into their outfits from Bruce Wayne and what is it?
Dick Grayson.
Dick Grayson, thank you. And they flip the switch, and the uniform changes. How does that machine actually do that?
Well, it must be a miracle of technology. I mean, if you go into the Batcave that they've got everything bar a microwave oven in there. Odder than that, I think, is the fact that Bruce Wayne, multimillionaire or whatever, is driving along with his youthful ward, Dick Grayson.
Yeah,
first of all, his name is Dick.
Yeah,
he's also referred to as a youthful ward.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could accuse Batman of definitely swinging both ways, but he's definitely interested in the alter ego of Catwoman in this episode. So he's not completely interested. Maybe in fact, Robin is a bit gutted by that because when later on they're kind of he's tailing them. He seems a bit upset, doesn't he? So maybe he is upset that Batman has turned his gaze away from his youthful, twinky looks to another creature. So yeah, they go into the Batcave, which is full of amazing gadgets, and then they jump into the Batcar, which, let's face it, is cool. Absolutely cool. Yeah, that is the one thing you go, that is a piece of machinery that we would all like to drive. I'd like to be driving that now. I mean, it would be very impractical, especially with the shopping and stuff. I don't know where you're putting stuff in, but I mean, the fire coming out the back, it's all like jet black with the red stripes. And then you've got their own different compartments for Batman and then for Robin. It is. We have to admire it. I mean, I don't know anything about cars. I'm not. They don't excite me generally, but I would like to drive the Batcar.
It's a bit like Pimp My Ride. Have you seen Pimp My Ride?
Yes, of course.
It's a bit like that. I think they made it out of like a Ford Capri or something like that.
Do you think it was made in Dagenham, kind of at the Vauxhall plant or something like that? Maybe
might have been. It might have been a customized gay pride float.
What with the twink in the side compartment?
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you think the fire out the exhaust pipe at the back actually makes any difference. Why would you do that?
Well, it's supposed to be indicative of speed, isn't it?
I
that
guess
you can,
so.
you can just fire off. Apparently, the whole thing went very slow, though. I read.
Well, maybe that's why they said, right, we better get into a Batcopter. And I thought Robin is very passive aggressive when he's just calling up the airport, say, right, get the Batcopter ready. He's like bickering orders at them. I mean, these guys are just, working at the airport. Give them a break. They're looking after Gotham airport traffic coming in and out of the sky, and they got this knob on the phone demanding them to get the Batcopter ready. But yeah, I didn't really understand why when they were going to a yacht, because later on we find out that they use the Bat boat, which is also a fantastic machinery. But why you wouldn't take the car to the boat to the yacht is a bit strange to me, other than obviously just to show off the fact they had a helicopter and to get some lovely Benny Hill type view of some girls on a rooftop for some unknown reason. The 4 policemen saluting them up in the sky, and then Batman saluting them back. And then the lovely couple having a picnic going, gee, it's sure good to know they're out there watching over us.
Yeah, it gives a fella a good feeling, doesn't it? Oh my God.
Kind of.
If we could just backtrack a little bit to the Batcave, I just wanted to point out that everything is labeled in this film. Like, I feel that their tights most probably had their names sewn into them as well.
Definitely.
So you know how like normal people have in their kitchen, they have tea, coffee, and sugar usually on a container or whatever. They've got everything. They've got tea, coffee, sugar, what else? Bat tights, bat underwear, all labeled, bat mask, bat bog roll, bat butt plugs.
Everything.
Did you see that though in the film?
I was just implied by the way they were standing.
Yeah.
After arriving at the yacht that wasn't there, and Batman going down the ladder and being attacked by a shark jumping onto his leg. What do they reach for?
Well, if anybody thinks about Batman, I'm sure that the majority of people can remember that scene.
So you remember Batman punching the shark continuously, trying to get the shark off his leg. And then he calls up to Robin for the bat shark spray.
Right, which was also labeled.
Along with?
What else did they have?
Manta ray.
Barracuda spray, bat whale spray.
Yes.
They had a whole load of... The only thing it didn't have was fly spray.
Yeah, and some deodorant.
Mind you, what would flies be doing that far out to sea anyway?
That's true. And they're bats anyway, so maybe the bats eat flies. I'm not sure. Do you think he had bat links as well?
Would you mean like the deodorant?
Yeah.
Maybe. I wonder what that smells like.
No, that probably is anti-shark, actually, I think. Link spray.
What I loved about this scene is, first of all, like Robin does this sort of acrobatic thing to pass him the spray.
For no reason.
Batman sprays the shark falls off his leg and explodes. And what I thought was brilliant, because the villains set all this up, right? And what I loved about it was that the villains, right throughout the whole movie, have this huge thing for blowing up insignificant sea mammals.
Yes. Well, you'd also think about it, because it was the Penguin who was really into this. You would have thought someone who was named after, a sea-like creature wouldn't be so keen to blow up his fellow sea creatures. But maybe penguins really hate octopuses and sharks, maybe the natural enemies. So he's like, I'm going to blow them up. Maybe that's his thinking.
There's clearly a pecking order here, if you pardon the pun.
A pecking order from the Penguin, definitely. Also, just going back to that label thing again, the Bat Ladder is also labeled the Bat Ladder. Again,
Bat Ladder.
Not relevant. A waste of time labeling that ladder. I mean, we get it. It's a ladder. It doesn't have to be a bat ladder. There's nothing special about that ladder that makes it a bat ladder.
I think there was maybe just somebody in the studio or something that was like, let's go branding crazy.
Someone got a label machine for Christmas or Hanukkah. And they're like, right, let's do it.
Thing is, though, these mammals, they could have just taken them out with a harpoon, but that wouldn't have been half as much fun.
No, exactly.
I like to see these mammals explode, frankly.
And maybe this was like the setup for Jaws. Maybe Spielberg saw this in the 60s and was impressed by this, because obviously in Jaws, not spoiler here, obviously they blow up the shark at the end. So maybe the explosive shark thing was there, from Batman. Maybe that there is a straight line from Batman movie to Jaws. The shark in Jaws was as real as this one.
Still, Jaws is a pretty good film, though.
Jaws is a good film because you don't see the shark, whereas Batman has no problem showing the shark. So we go straight from the shark situation to a press conference. And I don't know about you, but I got a very kind of early sense of maybe where Donald Trump got a lot of his press conferences from, because there's a lot of kind of fake news going on here, kind of diverting the media. Not much faith in the media, or wanting to tell them the truth. A lot of concealing, don't you think?
Enter Catwoman, but the shame about this is they're all supposed to be like masters of disguise and stuff. She came in, I was like, oh, that's Catwoman,
dressed in leopard skin outfit as well, just to kind of make it more obvious.
She did look great, though. She looked so much better than everyone else there.
Oh, agreed. From the Moscow Bugle.
Commissioner Gordon and what's the other guy's name again? Chief O'Hara.
I mean, just basically so Irish that
outrageous Irish accent.
He practically has shamrocks falling out of his mouth. That's how Irish he is.
He's so Irish. He could have been in that film, The Departed. I love how the commissioner gets on the blower, though, and it's like to his secretary, what known super criminals are at large just now? Like, he's ordering coffee or something like that to secretary. I'm sure she's like, I don't fucking know. I love how Commissioner Gordon introduced the Penguin. That pompous, waddling master of foul play, a maestro of 1,000,000 criminal umbrellas.
Seems a lot, doesn't it? Seems a big introduction.
It is a big introduction until fucking Chief O'Hara turns up with that outrageous Irish accent, like, devilish clown, prince of crime, talking about the Joker. Devilish clown, prince of crime. Oh, we've only had a nickel for every time he'd baffled us.
It doesn't take much to baffle Chief O'Hara. I think when he gets up in the morning and he sees the sun rise, he's baffled. That's the impression that I get. I don't know how Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara have risen to the positions that they're in, because they seem completely unqualified and very much in the hands of Batman and Robin, pretty much, to basically do whatever they want.
They're a bit like Keystone Cops, aren't they?
Should we also talk about the logic that goes on to work out that all of these four might be working together? Because it was quite fishy what happened to Batman, wasn't it? So that could be Penguin. And as we said earlier, they were at sea for Catwoman. And then the shark was pulling Batman's leg, and therefore he was a Joker. And what does Chief O'Hara say? It's all like a riddle.
Right. It says all adds up to a sinister riddle. Riddler. Riddler. Okay, I have a bone to pick with this Riddler, though. I love the Riddler. I do love him. But why does he have to just point out the entire plot? I mean, obviously, Batman and Robin have the script, because there's nobody on this green earth would be able to solve any of those riddles based on what he was given.
Definitely
right.
Not.
So they're reading the script. Let's just be clear.
But also, I mean, the way of he was delivering the riddles was bizarre. We're going to fire rockets into the sky to give everyone the riddles.
Yeah, it's okay. He wants to get caught. It's obviously like those those psychopaths, like the Zodiac killer and whatnot. They all wanted to toy with the police and stuff because they wanted infamy, didn't they? Holy yo-ho-ho, Batman. Let's go to the pier, shall we, Ollie? In particular to Ye Olde Ben Bow Tavern, where there's a massive sailors' brawl going on.
Also, fair play to Catwoman for paying the cab driver, because you would have thought a criminal wouldn't do that. But she's very respectful. When she gets out of the cab, she pays him before going into the bar. So well done. That. Well done, her.
What an eye for detail you have. Well,
she might be a criminal, but always pay your taxi fares. Exactly. That's what I have. That's the message.
Why are we at the Ye Olde Ben Bow Tavern? Why is there a brawl going on? Why is everyone dressed as a pirate? And why are there two fat women sitting eating crab?
I mean, it's all good questions. I don't have answers. I mean, that is the kind of bar I'd like to go and visit. I don't know about you, because there's all sorts of stuff going on. There's several brawls going on, not just one. There's a couple.
The whole thing is they've taken a hostage. haven't they? So they've taken the hostage, the admiral of the yacht or whatever it is, who is totally useless. Spoiler, right through the entire film from the beginning to the end. One thing I thought was really, really funny was like he's been held hostage by this cast of a clown car, basically. And has no idea. Like the Joker's coming in is supposed to be like some sort of
T-boy.
waiter. Yeah, T-boy. Because he's always asking for tea and stuff. And he's like, wearing a purple suit. He's got green hair and stuff. And this guy doesn't even notice. And what I thought was really, really funny was like, they're like, the ship's not going anywhere at the moment. We're docked or whatever. And he's like, oh, great. It'll be a great chance to catch up on my Dickens.
This pub is downstairs from the criminal layers hideout, United Underworld. We should give it its full title,
which is totally classic, by the way. The villains are the best thing about it, actually.
I mean, I agree, but I just like the fact they've hired the upstairs of a pub for their lair. I mean, do they own it? Do you reckon the Penguin has the pub downstairs? I mean, is it like a Weatherspoons? Have they just hired the thing out for for a work seminar? It's a bit confusing. It seems like they live there. So yeah, I was very. I liked the detail in there because they all had their own personal shelves. The Riddler had his book of riddles labeled, of course.
Cat food.
Cat food for Catwoman. The Penguin seemed to have a fish tank for some unknown reason. Fish food on there.
Obviously,
the Joker had his jokes. It was nice. It was nicely organised.
Again, everything was labelled. I'm not sure if maybe everybody was just blind or something like that. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. Or maybe they just thought children were fucking thick.
Yeah, no, that's true as well, to be fair.
Or they had to get some educational value in, like, you know how Sesame Street taught you Spanish and stuff?
Yes, yeah.
Right. Well, maybe it was something like that. They thought, well, we'll label everything. We can say, well, it's not just guys running around in tights. It's like educational.
Well, to be fair, I mean, to the villain's credit, it's only really the Riddler that's running around in tights. The Joker and the Penguin are looking quite debonair in their suits. And
Penguin's even got spats.
It has, exactly. A top hat, spats, monocle, the whole shebang, and a cigar holder.
Moving on to the boy.
Oh yes, all about the boy.
Exactly. The boy or the boy?
Well, it doesn't matter. If there's a boy lost at sea, Batman's going to it.
Okay,
right.
So Batman and Robin take the Bat boat off to see a boy, a magnetic boy, I might add, in the middle of the sea.
For fingerprints.
Couple of stunt double changes in between for good measure.
Definitely.
And then they get to the middle of the ocean and they're like, isn't it great to be all alone here? And then this fucking penguin submarine pops up that looks a bit like Rod Hull's Emu. Remember Rod Hull and Emu?
Well, definitely the telescope coming up from the thing was definitely very kind of Emu-esque, no question. Yeah. Can we give some love to the Penguin submarine, though? Because not only is it a submarine, they decided to equip it with flippers.
Yeah.
No reason.
It's so much better than Rod Hull and Emu, like some big lanky ginger man with his hand up an emu's ass.
That's true.
Why are they hanging around this boy in the middle of the sea?
Well, they were looking for fingerprints, weren't they? Because they were.
That's what it was.
Because the protection of the yacht had come from the boy after they put something through a navigational aid computer, the coordinates through the back grain lens, and discovered that must be where it was coming from. And then Batman says, "Salts and corrosion, enemies of the crime fighter everywhere," which I'm not entirely sure is completely correct.
My question is, right, Ollie, and I think here is one of the very best reasons to get involved in this kinky cosplay caper in the first place, is how they get out of this situation on that boy. Because what happens is they're there, the Penguins and the Joker and all that are firing torpedoes at them. They make a narrow escape on the second torpedo because they come a cropper because Batman's got this machine where he can sort of deflect the torpedoes. But unfortunately, the batteries run out, so he didn't have Duracell. No
rechargeable batteries in those days.
But brilliantly, at the very end, there's a noble porpoise who seems to love heroic causes. and decides to jump in front of the two kinky cosplay perverts and take the torpedo for them. Leaving, Batman says, "How noble of that porpoise," or some shit like that.
So I like that after this, they make the call to the Pentagon. And
as you would do.
As you would do. Don't seem to be very busy at the Pentagon, do they? Seem to be playing Tiddlywinks or some description.
Tiddlywinks. When was the last time anybody played Tiddlywinks, by the way?
1966. There you go.
And how else do terrorists acquire weapons if not at the Pentagon?
Indeed, with no address, just a P.O. box address.
Who's ordering weapons with a P.O. box number?
Well, it's a Mr. P. Nguyen.
Oh, wow, that was subtle.
So following on from that,
I'm not very sure if there's anywhere to go after that.
Well, the first riddle is the place to go.
Oh, good Lord, yes.
Polaris, Holy Polaris. Do you remember what the first riddle is?
Chief O'Hara goes, "What does a turkey do when he flies upside down?" And Robin says, "He gobbles up." And Chief O'Hara goes, Of course.
Of course. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then Commissioner Gordon says, what weighs 6 ounces, sits in a tree, and is very dangerous? Robin, oh God, he should be on countdown, quite frankly.
Well, must be, clearly.
A sparrow with a machine gun.
What
kind of a creature would gobble up a bird in a tree? A cat. And the commissioner says, the Penguin, Joker, Riddler, and the Catwoman too. How they got to this point, I'll never know. Apart from the fact that the secretary probably already told them.
Yeah, probably about half an hour ago.
Just like any enterprise, it's always the people. The cleaner always knows more than the CEO.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would say, yeah, definitely. The PAs and the secretaries know more than any of these people.
Yeah, yeah. I tell you what, let's go back to the villain's lair, Ollie, because they have to get there and they have to regroup and they have to discuss and think of even more hideous things that they could do. You know what's strange about this lair, though? It doesn't have a pit.
No, you'd like a pit, would you? Just like a shark pit or something.
Yeah, you need a pit of some description which you can throw people into. I have a question for you, though, Ollie. If you could date anybody in this film, who would you date and why?
Good question. I think it would probably be the Joker, because I think he would just be the most fun to go out with for a few drinks. I think the Joker, definitely. And then we could talk about this whole mustache thing and try and get that sorted.
You would have to put up with this outrageous cackling, however.
That's true.
Every 5 minutes.
That would be frustrating. Okay, well, who would you go out with?
I think I would go out with the Riddler.
Okay.
Because he's a stand-up comedian, first of all. He's not unattractive. He's got a kind of Frank Sinatra thing about him.
He's a bit manic. He's a bit manic as well. He's manic
as well, yeah. Actually, he would do my fucking head in. But I did hear a story about him, that him and Adam West went off to an orgy one time in Hollywood and got thrown out because they were reenacting scenes from Batman, and all these swingers got like mortally offended and told them to leave.
Why were they getting offended? I mean, honestly.
Well, because obviously for swingers, it's like a serious thing, you know? And it's time for another riddle. What has yellow skin and rights?
A banana?
A ballpoint banana. I can't believe you didn't understand that immediately.
No, I know.
As Robin did.
This is why I'm not a crime fighter. This is why.
All right, I'll give you another one, right? Let's see if you can redeem yourself as a crime fighter here. What people are always in a hurry?
Oh, Russians. They're always in a rush.
Russians, well done. See, look, you're getting into the crazy logic. So then there's this point where, because Bruce Wayne's going to go on a date with Miss Kitka at her apartment or his apartment or whatever, Robin and Alfred follow them. They get in a horse and cart.
Yes.
Because they've just been at the Folded Arms restaurant.
Indeed.
So they get in a horse and cart. It's all very romantic. Meanwhile, Alfred and Robin, bloody curb crawlers that they are
stalking them
in the Batmobile, but totally obviously, I mean, you're going to notice that, right? And just before they leave, Bruce Wayne goes, Alfred, have you got your driving license? They're always trying to uphold the law to the letter, you know.
Definitely.
But fuck it. Let's get back to Alfred and his curb crawling. Did you notice that he was on the video totally trying to, because Bruce Wayne and Miss Kitka are in the apartment getting it on, and they're so going to have sex, by the way.
And definitely. And that's why Robin feels uncomfortable, doesn't he, watching it?
But it's at this point that Bruce Wayne starts quoting Edgar Allan Poe like a serial killer, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And then says, Miss Kitka, this curtain, which is obviously the Iron Curtain he's referring to, right? This curtain, I hope.
Well, I don't know what curtains. I don't even want to go into what other curtains they could be.
This curtain which separates our country. Well, it couldn't have been separating a country. It couldn't have been the thing you're thinking of, because it would have had to been fucking massive.
Hey, listen, don't push this on me. You started laughing and saying curtains first of all. So don't try and push this on me.
Of course it was me. Of course it was me. So this curtain that separates our country is so foolish. If we could just contrive some way of getting more deeply involved with each other. Bruce Wayne and Miss Kitka, also known as Catwoman, have been kidnapped, tied to a bed. They're wriggling around. Somehow Bruce Wayne manages to get out of it by punching people.
But wait a minute. But before that, I just want to carry on that. But once they get kidnapped, there's a newspaper that they show, and their top headline is "Attractive Girlfriend Seized in Brazen Snatch."
Okay. On to the second best scene in the entire movie, the bomb. Yeah, the best line in this scene is when Batman says, sometimes you just can't get rid of a bomb. Right, so why are we saying some days you just can't get rid of a bomb?
Well, I mean, but Batman has found the bomb and now he's trying to dispose of it. And
why is there a bomb in the first place?
Well, I imagine because they just want to kill Batman, don't they? They've left the premises and they're looking to kill him, and there's a bomb there.
Yeah, it's a trap. It's back
at
the oldie Pirates pub or whatever.
The excellent bit is this: when he goes down to the crowded pub with the bomb, they all clear out except for two women who are continuing to eat chicken.
Crab, was it not?
Was it crab? Crab would make more sense by the sea. That's a good point. Fantastic. I mean, why let a bomb get in the way of a good crab?
Well, okay. Now, I have a bit of an issue with the next bit. Because we've got the Penguin dressed up as Mr. Schmidlap, the guy that was kidnapped, right? Who loves Dickens, loves his Dickens. He's supposed to be this master of disguise yet again, yet they see through him immediately.
As you would.
Take him to the Batcave after he's been sedated or whatever.
Yes, to the anti-crime lab.
Invite him quite happily into the Batcave, knowing that he's a notorious criminal, have no qualms about it whatsoever. And the Penguin, naturally, comes in, adds water to the test tubes of his henchmen that have previously been, dehydrated before, right?
Turned into dust.
And they come back to life inside the Batcave and have a massive fight. But it all gets foiled, of course, in some silly way, because I think it was like Batman punches one of them, and then they disappear or some stupid thing like that. Anything just to get an extra scene in the Batcave, if you ask me, with some more signs like, water dispenser or condom machine.
Well, talking of signs, did you see there was a special camera angle on one of the machines, the hyper special analysis machine, which unfortunately the camera angle decided to show it as saying hyper special anal. Do you reckon any of these pirates ended up, being circumcised just by a bit of dust going missing?
Oh my God. No, definitely. In fact, some of those test tubes were quite full and others were not.
Definitely.
I think they snorted some of them during...
and what did you think about the foam rubber wholesales convention?
Okay, so you're saying like the Batcopter gets shot out of the sky, right?
Yeah.
By one of the Riddler's missiles.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then conveniently, Batman and Robin successfully aim for this rubber...
foam rubber wholesale convention.
Right. It just so happens to be a load of rubber mats. Anyway, so what the fuck happens next? Oh, so massive fight on top of the submarine. Batman's got this massive spanner, which is so big that if it wasn't a prop, nobody would be able to lift it. Didn't last long. Everybody ends up in the water.
That's right.
I love how Batman reports things to the authorities and stuff. He's like quite seriously saying the submarine is heading south and it's filled with human jessam. So here we are at the end of the film. What did you think of it, Ollie?
Well, as I've said, I think it's influenced many films. Jaws, Austin Powers.
Should it have got an Oscar?
It should have won all the Oscars.
We must talk about the wildlife of Burt Ward, because I don't know if you know this, Ollie, but he also wrote a book called Boy Wonder, My Life in Tights.
Wow.
Right.
And what's that like? If you read any extracts?
Well, as you most probably know, Adam West was some sort of sex addict, and due to the fact that Adam West had like a stream of women on the set every day, like he was like known to be fucking like 8 women a day in his coffee break and stuff like that. And of course, you know what, with Robin being with him on the set every day and stuff, of course he got, you know, he was totally influenced by it. Apparently this whole thing with the national movement of decency all started when Adam West decided to put a big sock down the front of his tights, which exaggerated his bulge, you know, beyond what it already was. And that's what caught the eye of the religious people. First of all, I'm like, if you're so religious and stuff, why are you looking down there in the first place?
Obviously, God has diverted their vision to the saintly vision of the bulge.
All right. Or maybe it was in
the devil.
Anyway, so the studio were not happy about it either, because they were getting all this, you know, bad press and stuff. So they sent Robin off to get a sort of chemical castration or something like that, where he had to take these pills to reduce the size of his testicles.
That's not a thing.
No, well, it didn't work. It didn't work out very well, as you can imagine. You know, like nobody wants their whole groin area to look like strawberry blancmange. Let's face it, that whole thing about shrinking testicles, quite frankly, it was nuts. Hey! Okay. Adam West, on the other hand, was swamped with girls who were always slipping him notes.
Okay.
Notes, because they couldn't get to them because they were stars. So they had to sort of pass them these notes saying like, meet me here and whatnot. And the thing is, what did these women want? Obviously, they wanted to have sex with Batman and Robin. But more importantly, they wanted to have a bit of cosplay. Well, Ollie, we've got to wrap this up now because it's dark outside, which means I need to get my tights on, my underpants that I have to put on over them, and I have to go and scramble around on top of people's roofs, fighting crime and such.
Well, I need to go and get the local criminals together to form an unholy alliance so we can storm the UN and turn everyone into dust. I've been Ollie.
And I've been Kev, and this has been RETROSAURUS, and it's been a bat blast. Holy RETROSAURUS, Batman!